to see the new office too.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? How's it going? Welcome to another episode of That Hobby Show. With me this week, we have a special guest, somebody that I've wanted on the show for a long time, and one of my few Twitter friends that I've actually been able to meet in person and go to a ball game with. So we have Dave McNeely, also known as MPB Card Guy, the my Japanese baseball card go-to. I think there might be only one or two other people that know as much about Japanese baseball cards as you.
I disagree, but I'm probably the one who's most findable.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So that works. It's always good to have somebody that's findable when you're looking for information, because sometimes, especially with foreign baseball cards, it can be extremely hard to find stuff out about. But so. Speaking of foreign baseball cards, if people don't understand your handle, MPB, Nippon Professional Baseball, that is the baseball league in Japan, their equivalent of MLB. So how did you get started with Japanese baseball cards?
I always get asked this, and I don't have a good, origin story. I was just telling my wife, it's like I should say something like, I ran into aliens and they told me, you should collect Japanese baseball cards. It was mostly I used to be a minor league card collector, like back in the 90s, and after a while I got really tired of the whole chasing after whoever the hot prospect was and everything. I mean, I still got here somewhere, a bunch of Chad Hermanson cards. It's it just, after a while it got boring. But when eBay came around and I was searching for minor league cards on eBay, I started running into the Japanese cards, and I'd always had some interest in Japanese cards and everything, but it just got more and more like, these are much more interesting than the minor league cards, because there's this whole league that, I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
So it just I got into it that way, and eventually, within a year or two of collecting it, I kind of decided, what, this is the only thing I really want to spend my time and money on. So I stopped collecting. I would get the top set every year for Major League Baseball, and then I'd get a bunch of minor league sets, and I kind of said, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. And now it's all Japanese.
How did you get the minor league sets back then? Because I didn't. The only way for me I was able to get the minor league sets is if I actually went to the stadiums.
So there's a handful of guys who would work out deals with all the teams to get their sets. So there was a guy like Lake County Minor League in Florida, I think. But the main guy I dealt with was Steve Green of STB Sports in Washington State. And I think Steve's still selling it, and he's a great guy. I mean, I felt bad going, calling him up one time and saying, "Hey, remember that whole order I put in? Yeah, never mind."
So they've been around that long, because that's where I would go to get my minor league sets of the teams that I couldn't see.
Yeah. He's been around since at least the mid '90s.
So, cool.
Yeah, it was real nice. We did a vacation in Seattle, summer 2001, and I told Steve that we were going to be nearby, and he's like, "Oh, you guys got to stop by for dinner." So, he and his wife had me and my wife and my two little kids at the time over at his house for dinner. It was really nice. I mean, great guy.
Yeah.
As I said, I feel bad I don't buy anything from him anymore, but hopefully someone will watch this and go and buy stuff from him.
Yeah, we got a few people checking in. We got Dan and then Mike checking in. What's going on, fellas? So I remember you were on Dan's show a little while ago, and you said you had stopped at a card shop in Frederick, Maryland. And
oh my God, yeah, that was
and you were on your way either to or from a Hagerstown Suns game.
Yeah. I think it was the summer of '91, and I think I was coming back from a Suns game, and I swung by there. I used to always go to a game on my birthday. My birthday's at the end of August, and for the longest time, it seemed like Hagerstown was the only place home. on my birthday, so I'd end up driving all the way out there. But I'm pretty sure that I swung by after going to the game to that card shop, and they had packs of BBM, and I bought 1 or 2 packs of BBM there. I think I just won.
So 1991, Hagerstown was still Orioles affiliate then?
They were Eastern League AA.
Double A, yeah.
Hagerstown, yeah. The Orioles farm team.
Do you
I guess that was the next to last year before they moved that affiliate to Bowie.
Yeah. That was kind of a really weird time for me as a child, because it was like, who's going to be our new affiliate? Are we even going to have an affiliate? And then being a team in Maryland, and then I want to say they switched to the Toronto Blue Jays.
They were Toronto. They were the Giants for a little bit.
Yes, let's go for a couple.
Then became the Nats.
Yeah, and well, you forgot the Mets as well.
I was trying to remember if the Mets had been in there or not, but
yeah, because when they became the Blue Jays, we had some decent prospects come through. Michael Young, Vernon Wells.
I remember Vernon Wells there.
Yeah, and then
I gotta ask you this: do you remember a guy named Jan LaChapelle?
LaChapelle, no. Who was he with?
He was a Toronto pitcher. The reason I bring it up is, like, one of the times I went on my birthday, and I think my wife and my daughter went. My daughter was like 3 or 4 at the time. This pitcher for the Blue Jays, who I never heard of ever afterwards, Jan LaChapelle, had a perfect game for 26 batters.
Oh man, really?
And he gave up a single to the 27th. It's like,
That's crazy. Yeah, I've never been to a perfect game or anything. I've been to a 7-inning no-hitter against the Suns. It was Brad. I remember it because I had cards of the starting pitcher. His name is Brad Baisley for the Lakewood Blue Claws. He was in it was either Just Minors or the Just Rookies set.
Okay.
And I needed his autograph. He wouldn't sign before the game because he was pitching, and then he ends up throwing a no-hitter, and I was able to get him to sign the card, and he put no-hitter and the date and everything on it for me. So that was pretty. Yeah. So the card shop in Frederick, let's see if I can guess where it was at. Was it that one stretch where it's called like the Golden Mile?
Nah.
No.
Because that's like the mall and everything.
Yeah.
It was in that stretch between south of 70 and over to 270. Like, I don't know how to describe it. And it's all, I mean, we were out there last summer at one point, and it was, we went over that way, and I was like, I don't recognize a thing over here anymore. So, but yeah, it was south of 70. Like, you get off, where, obviously, where Grove is. It was just south of there.
Gotcha.
Actually, it's funny. I just threw out all my old scorecards as part of this whole move into the new office and everything. And I'm sure that one of those scorecards had an ad for them, but I couldn't say anything about them anymore. But,
so one of the other things that I totally did not know about you, I was listening. I want to say it was on Dan's show again, Korean Cardboard. You're not an Orioles fan. For the longest time, I thought you were an Orioles fan because living in Maryland, I just assumed.
Well, yeah. So I was actually born near St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
So my second favorite team is the Cardinals. And then we moved from St. Louis to the Bay Area in San Francisco when I was a kid. So my third favorite team is the Giants. And then from there we moved to Northern Jersey. But before we got to Northern Jersey, I already had picked a favorite team, and it was the Boston Red Sox, which makes no sense because I've never lived in Boston and anything. But Yeah, moving to Northern Jersey in the late 70s as a Red Sox fan was not a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, especially being close to New York and everything.
Yeah, everybody was a Yankee fan. I could commiserate with some Met fans because the Mets were horrible at the time, but most of the Met fans hated the Yankees also. And I was gone from there before they played in the series in '86, so I didn't have to get any crap from Met fans.
So
yeah, I didn't move to Maryland until 1986.
Oh, okay. And so where you live in Maryland, you're actually close to Wilmington, Delaware, which is the Wilmington Blue Rocks.
Yep.
And for as long as I can remember, they were always the Royals affiliate, except there was that weird 2-year stretch where you must have been super happy that the Royals or that the Blue Rocks became a Red Sox affiliate.
The best thing about that, besides the fact that I have a jacket that says "Rocks" across the front, like in the Red Sox script, and it's got the Red Sox
the Sox logo.
Yeah, the Sox on the sleeve. I really like that jacket. But the best thing about it was 2005 and 2006 that they were a Red Sox farm team. So in 2005, they decided they were going to have the World Series trophy tour all the minor league affiliates. So I have a picture somewhere of me with the Red Sox 2004 World Series trophy.
So did you when you were collecting minor league team sets, were you ever trying to get autographs or anything like that?
No, it just I do it now some when I have an opportunity, but I've never been a big autograph collector.
Yeah.
I think in Wilmington I've only twice gotten an autograph from somebody. I got Ty Gainey, who had played for Oryx in the early 90s. He was a coach with them with the Blue Rocks around 2000, 2001-ish. Must have been like 2001 or 2002, actually. And I got his BBM card from '93 autograph.
Okay.
And then I got Ellen. I'm gonna space his name. De Los Santos, I think is his name. Australian catcher. Who was with the Rocks for a couple years. Yeah, that's it. Why I don't know why I was spacing the name, but because I like the guy. But yeah, I realized a couple of years ago, I was like, hey, wait a minute, because I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to the minors since I don't collect the cards anymore. All of a sudden, I realized it's like, wait a minute, I don't know why this 30-something-year-old is playing in high single A, but okay. He was kind of coaching for him too, and I got his autograph before Blue Rock game. And it was an Australian card too. So he's like, he saw it and he was like, so where'd you get this? It's like, this guy in Brisbane.
Yeah, eBay, like everyone else.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I actually seen Alan earlier this year. He's a coach in the Royals system now.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so he was in there. I would call it the Arizona Rookie League, but I think it's called like the Arizona Complex League now, which is stupid. And yeah, but
well, getting back to what we were talking about, I guess in the pre-show that nobody else
that nobody's seen. We don't like how not only Manfred kind of took all of our hometown teams away from us, but they also renamed all the leagues and kind of erased the history that's been around for some leagues well over 100 years. But
I hate to say this, though. I was actually expecting something like this snap for probably since the majors and the minors had their big redo of everything in the early 90s. Because I started thinking about it, and it's like, Major League Baseball, I mean, because, they're always thinking, bottom line and, penny wise, outlaw, foolish kind of crap. But at some point, they're going to go, why am I paying for 6 starting second basemen when I need a team for the one guy who's going to be good, who's going to be a major league player off of, this team. So why am I paying for all this? So the scary thing is I could see them in another 10 years doing another snap.
Yeah. And for me, being from Hagerstown, it was like I was expecting it, honestly, decades ago. It just sucked that none of these teams were able to say bye to their fans, kind of thing, where you lose the season due to the pandemic. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I don't mean I was just going to say, Hagerstown, I was always expecting for them to lose their team, which is a shame because I always had a blast out of that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also like I'd go to the ballpark and go, well, this is what it was like going to a baseball game, in the 70s when there's, 30 people in the stands and no frills at the ballpark or anything. And that's fine, because I want to go see baseball. But I was like, yeah, there's no way this is going to last.
No.
And it lasted.
The year that the season they lost due to the pandemic, that was going to be their 40th anniversary.
Yeah. Honestly, I went there first in '88 when they were in the Carolina League, single A Carolina League, and then then the Eastern League, and then the South Atlantic League. So
yeah, we kind of always. For me, I was one of those guys when I knew when the player development contract was ending with the Suns, so I was always worried because the Suns were like the last team to get a player development contract. And it was like being the last kid picked a gym class, like, oh, hopefully nobody builds a stadium yet, because if they do, we're screwed. Nobody's coming here, But and like you were saying, how it was like going back in time and 30 people in the stands. One of the things, I don't know if you ever listened to a Suns game on the radio, but you could tell who was at the game by listening on the radio because it echoed in the stadium and the radio broadcast picked it up perfectly. So there was always this one drunk guy that was there and you could hear him slurring and yelling.
Was he the everybody hits guy?
Yeah. You could hear him plain as a day on the radio. You're like, oh, well, he's at the ballpark tonight. And, yeah.
I got used to going there where, because I went a bunch of times in the 90s. And there were a couple of people who'd be up in the grandstand, the cheaper seats, who I was used to seeing, and they knew all the players and everything. Yeah. But then I would always because I always wanted to be in like the front row or the good seats, whatever, get the box seats. And there was a handful of guys there who were there for every game, and I would talk with them some. And it was amazing to me, again, how much they knew about all the players and everything, and how they would even interact with the players. And one of my favorite stories about Hagerstown is they were playing, this must have been 93. They were playing the West Virginia Wheelers, and there was a guy on the Wheelers named Dan Fry. Redheaded guy and very emotional on the field. So like it's time that he popped out and he like threw his helmet down. He's like, yelling as he ran up the baseline, getting on himself and everything, and they were all over him. So it was a doubleheader, and it was late in the second game, and I think Hagerstown was up by a run or something like that. And they were the Wheelers started getting a rally going, and the Suns switched, were changing pitchers. And so Fry was going to be not the first batter, but the second batter after the new pitcher started. And so he and the other guy are sitting there watching the guy warm up. And one of these guys in the stands yells over, he's like, hey, you're going to make the second out. And then you, Dan, you're going to make the third out. And Fry looked over at him. He said, I'm not making an out. So game starts up again. First guy up. I think he hit a single or something like that. Fry comes up, hits a home run, puts the Wheelers up. Gets the home plate, and he's congratulated by all his teammates and everything. And as he walked back to the dugout, he turned and pointed to the guy in the stands. And the guy was just like, yeah.
No, sorry.
I've never seen anything like that at any other park.
Yeah, because you're pretty much right on top of the field in Hagerstown. There's not a lot of foul territory, and it's basically the stadium was like 10 pounds of shit stuffed in a 5-pound bag. So you're right up on it there. But
hey, they made changes over the years, like they added a souvenir store instead of just the little
trailer
in those stands.
yeah. The souvenir store was kind of cool, and then they I think one year the upgrade was they put some new mulch down in the play area for the kids, so that was cool. But one of the things that always surprised me though, with like the upper deck minor league sets and even some of the tops cards, was how many cards people don't realize how many of the cards are taken in Hagerstown. And that always blew my mind, but it was always kind of a sense of pride for me, because I don't know if you've seen one of the episodes, but Josh Hamilton's first year, he has that upper deck card where he's like, swinging, and in the background is the actual hospital where I was born at, which doesn't exist anymore.
They threw that down? Because I always remember seeing that, from.
Yeah, Washington County Hospital has been torn down. There's a new, mega hospital that's owned by some corporation thing. I don't know. But stuff like that. And then there's a Brandon Clausen card with the Yankees that I can tell that he is in the bullpen of Municipal Stadium because of how the paint is chipping. Like, they never painted there for like 10 or 15 years. It's his Greensboro Bats card, and it's one of my favorite cards because I've been in that bullpen and I know that's Hagerstown. But anyway, for the oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever noticed that. I haven't really seen any minor league cards for a while.
yeah, because I really don't buy them anymore. The pro debut, because they're too damn expensive, and everybody buys them that doesn't even like minor league baseball because of, they're chasing the prospects and everything. So, yeah. But, so you started collecting around 92, you said, for the Japanese cards?
No. I had gotten some Japanese cards in the 90s. Actually, back when I was in high school and everything, I bought a lot of TCMA cards. So I had the TCMA.
Oh, okay.
My first ever minor league set was the TCMA set. But I got rid of all those when I was in college. So had to rebuy the TCMA set, but I know who the guys are now.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, I had a coworker who'd gone to Japan for work, and he got me some, gave me some cards. But it wasn't until about 2000, late 2000 is when I decided, I'm going to really start collecting these. And then by about, I think 2002 is when I decided that I was only going to collect them.
So did you ever buy boxes of the Japanese cards, or did you go for the complete sets?
Yes, BBM has terrible decollation. But yes, for 4 or 5 years, no, I spent about 6 years. I tried building the sets by buying the boxes, and it was really frustrating. For a while, there was a guy in Japan who I would trade with, so I was able to complete my 2001 and 2002 sets with him, but he said the card shop that he was near, and he was actually in the service, I think. So, I was able to, use an APO and everything for shipping, so it was a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
But the card shop near him closed, and I think he kind of lost interest in it. So it took me forever to finish the 2003, 4, 5, and 6 sets. I got most of them done. My first trip to Japan in 2013 is when I finally got most of those sets done.
Okay.
And then starting in 2006, I found out that Rob Fitz had complete sets. So I got the second version set from him, and then bought from him for a while, and bought from a guy that I had met on eBay, Japanese guy, Hiro Nagami. And then when I finally started understanding how like the proxy bidders worked and Yahoo Japan auctions, I started ordering the sets myself. Just because I had more control over it. And then, Ryan Glusing, who is been a godsend to me, finds a lot of stuff for me as well.
Yeah.
And
I
sent him an email letting him know about this. So Ryan, if you're on, thank you.
Awesome. So your first trip to Japan, was that strictly just to buy baseball cards?
I went to see the World Baseball Classic.
Oh, okay. So 2004?
No, 2013 was my first trip.
Oh, okay. Wow. I thought you'd been going to Japan for way longer than that.
I have only been to Japan twice.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
now, the way I talk, sometimes you might think I went a whole bunch of more times because but
oh yeah, when
I'm one of those people who keeps mentioning, oh yeah, when I was in Japan.
Yeah, because on your blog, for people that don't know, you have a blog, Japanese baseball card blogspot.com. Yeah, it's extremely thorough of all the pictures of the card shops and everything in Japan. So I'm like, this dude must be going there all the time to have all this information and everything.
No, I just I recognized at some point that people use my blog for planning their travel to like go to card shops or whatever. Yeah. So I try to have a lot of detail, and I actually try to keep up on it because I went to 20 something shops in 2019, and one of them is completely closed now. Mint Kondo is no longer around, but like Mint Yokohama has moved again. Mint Fukuoka moved. Mint Shibuya moved. Card Fanatic moved. I think there's a couple others that moved. I've been trying to keep up with it on the blog. Like if I know that they moved, I'll update the thing. And I keep stressing on any post I do about a card shop saying, go and check like their website and make sure it hasn't moved, because Mint Yokohama's moved twice in the last 10 years. So
no, really?
Yeah. And become a much crappier store, to be honest.
Just smaller, or
so Ryan is the authority on the card shops. But Ryan and I kind of classify the Japanese card shops as either a mall store or a set building store. So a set building store is a place that's going to have a lot of singles. So if you're trying to rebuild, you're trying to complete a set, you can go find the singles for, like it's 2006 set you're trying to find. I can point you at a couple of card shops that will have that. And they'll be reasonably well organized. The mall shops basically have the latest product and hits, and you might find some interesting stuff if you look around, but you're mostly not going to find, if you want to, if you're trying to find that 2006, the cards to finish the 2006 set, Mint Shibuya is not going to help you. And Mint Yokohama used to be able to help you, but now they've moved into, well, first they were in a mall just south of Yokohama Station. Now I think they're on the other side of the station. Dan actually has been with me to that one in Yokohama. It's just not as, and when I go to a store, I'm looking to build a set usually. I'm trying to find singles to finish something off, and so the mall stores weren't always that helpful to me. I mean, I found fun things at a couple of them, but I'd much rather go to Quad Sports or Mint Ikebukuro or Kolatri or Bits in Nagoya or Mentakata in Fukuoka. I mean, those are stores that were really, they had the things I was looking for. And that's one of the things that I tried to keep in mind in writing the blog posts about the card shops, is that this is what I'm looking for out of a card shop, but that's not necessarily what everybody else is looking for. So I tried to like pay attention to like, well, they have these other things here too, but it's hard.
So what was your experience like at the World Baseball Classic? Because me, I don't know about you, but kind of like how you're saying, you know, different people like different things. At first, I wasn't a fan of the World Baseball Classic. And then as I got older, I fell in love with the WBC because they would actually have some of the World Baseball Classic teams would come out here during spring training. So I would get to see all these players that I would never in my lifetime have a chance to see.
Yeah, I know Japan plays both in 2013 and 2017. They went to Arizona and played a couple exhibition games before going to San Francisco or LA to for the semifinals.
Yeah, I didn't get to see them, but I did get to see Team Australia. I remember because Graham Lloyd was the pitching coach, not a very friendly guy. Chris Snelling was on the team at that time.
Oh, wow.
Then Team China actually came here and played a week or two in the Arizona Fall League.
Oh, wow.
And Team USA was in the league as well. So that was awesome. And I actually had a couple of the Team China players' cards because they were in that upper deck set where it was like UD top prospects or something. So I remember getting Tao Boo's autograph, and the whole dugout was just losing their mind that he had a baseball card and somebody was asking for his autograph.
I had actually a similar experience. The Shikoku Island League, the Independent League, they had a they have a weird schedule where they play like April and May, and then they're off for June and July, and then they play August and September.
That's weird.
I think it's got something to do with the rainy season and everything, but it's just the way it works out. So there was a couple years there where they put together an all-star team and played in the Can-Am League for June and July.
So that's the league where it's the I remember you would see the Washington Wild Things. Is that the league?
No, that's the Frontier League.
Oh, okay.
I have not been to that.
Okay.
Well, actually, let me rephrase that. The two leagues merged after the 2019 season.
Okay.
So, and as far as I know, they didn't play 2020 at all. So, and I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention in 2021 because they are no longer the Can-Am League. There wasn't going to be a Shikoku Island League team playing in the league, so I didn't pay a whole lot of attention this last year. But no, so and what it was is they actually were part of the league. The games were official games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean the first year I think it was just them, so it was like a 5-team league for a couple weeks. But after that, they had like a Cuban all-star team that was like the other team in the league, and I know there was an independent Korean league team that played one year, but I didn't go up for that. But I have a friend in Northern Jersey, so because like my best friend from high school, and because I lived up there. So I went up there, could visit Chuck, and he could go to the ball game with me. He's not a big baseball fan, but he's game to hang out. And I went to Yogi Berra Stadium in Montclair a couple times to see him play the New Jersey Jackals, and then
the Jackals, yeah.
And then the Sussex County Miners, I think, in Skylands Ballpark, where the New Jersey Cardinals had played years ago. But yeah, there was always a handful of guys. Well, let me rephrase that. The manager and coach, or coaches, usually were ex NPB guys, and so I would bring old cards of them to get autographed, and they got a kick out of it. And there was usually one or two players who had somehow been involved with MVP. There was actually the guy who was the Pacific League MVP. Pacific League Rookie of the Year in 2002 with the Fighters. Itsuke Shota, I think I'm probably butchering his name, but he's been with the team every time they've come, and so I got his autograph. I think the first time, and then the second time he actually pitched. And the third time he was there, but I didn't get his autograph again because I already had it. Mm-hmm. But there was a guy who was he'd been a Kusei player for the Dragons, and I got his autograph, and he was just like tickled that anybody in the US would have a card of him. Yeah. The one I'm really kicking myself that I should have done is there was an Australian guy. God, I am just spacing names today. All the Australian guys. He ended up playing with the Dragons for a couple years, but he was playing the Shikoku Island League, and he got on the All-Stars. And he actually had played in the Phillies organization a while back, and I had WBC cards of him. It was going to drive me crazy.
Was he a pitcher?
Yeah, I'm just a.
And was it Scott Mitchison or Matheson?
No, Matheson's Canadian. He had played with.
The only Australian I can think of is Drew Naylor.
That's the guy, Drew Naylor.
Oh. All right.
Oh God, I actually ended up talking to him for a couple of minutes, and and he actually got Shota over to me to get autographed, and I was just like, I wish I had brought my WBC card because I knew he was there. I'd gone over the roster and everything, but but what was fun is the last time 2 years ago, well, 2.5 years ago now, the only guys I had cards to get autographed were the manager Tetsuya Yofu and one of the coaches who was played for the Fighters in the early odds. I'm spacing his name now, but
so Yofu, the former White Sox.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep. He has a really crazy resume because he pitched in China. He pitched in the White Sox organization. Yeah, he was a couple different things. Not China. He pitched in Taiwan. He was in the CPBL. But yeah. So and it was funny because the league actually hired him specifically to be the coach of the All-Star team or the manager of the All-Star team. Because the other couple of years they'd had a guy over. It was one of the managers of one of the 4 teams in the league. But this time it was like, no, we're just going to have this guy be, manage this team. Which I was kind of disappointed because I kept hoping that Norihiro Kamada, who played for the Giants and the Bay Stars and was managing Kochi, I was really hoping he was going to come over so I could get his autograph, but it never happened. But anyway, so I got Yofu's autograph, and he went into the dugout and said, "Hey, there's this crazy guy out here who had a baseball card of me," and one of the pitchers came out looking for me. And he actually he took the cards from me, and he got the coach to autograph, the other card. But he's showing it to all his teammates. It's like, look, our manager and coach have baseball cards. And then he used it for they had a pregame prep, pep talk thing.
I remember seeing that picture on your blog.
Yeah, he was holding up the cards and everything. And unfortunately, they didn't know how any good because they got creamed.
Well, maybe it would have been worse if they didn't have the card.
Maybe. Yeah, the Jackals scored enough runs in one inning that they broke the scoreboard because the scoreboard couldn't deal with more than 10 runs or more than 9 runs in an inning.
That's crazy. So how many how many sets would you say that you have now? Because it's not like where you just buy the flagship, like the flagship BBM set. You pretty much get all the sets. And for people that don't realize, there's a shitload of Japanese sets that
I
come out each year.
I don't get all the sets,
No.
but I get a lot of them.
Yeah.
And there's things that I like I got Genesis a couple years, the high end set, and I was like, you know what, I just don't care about this.
Mhm.
But for BDM, I pretty much every year I get the 3 flagship sets, first version, second version, and Fusion.
Yeah.
Um,
Fusion is basically the update set, like kind
yeah,
of update and highlights.
yeah, it's updating season summary thing. Yeah, and um, I've been talking a lot with this guy from Taiwan. Twai Cheng is his handle on trading card database, and he was saying you should really be treating Fusion as flagship, and I'm like, yeah, you're right, I should. So I'm gonna start changing how that. But anyway, so I get those. I get the 12 individual team sets, so that's 15. I get rookie edition.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I really like Rookie Edition as well.
I get the icon set every year. I've been getting the retirement set every year, but I think I'm going to stop. Um, yeah, so right there, that's like 20 sets just from, or 15, 16 sets just from BBM. I get the 3 Calbee sets. I get their Calbee Samurai Japan set if they do one. I get Epics. I get their flagship set, the MPB set. I've gotten some of their team sets, but I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I've been getting their Pacific League rookie set, and I'm kind of like, nah, I'm not going to do that anymore either. But yeah, there's probably a good 20. Well, and I always get like the historic sets, so
Oh yeah. What about
I think it works out to I get about 30 different sets a year.
do you do the time travel sets?
They haven't done one in 2 years, but yes, I have them.
Oh, really? I haven't been able to pay attention to all of it. But
Yeah, I don't know if because last year I was kind of like, well, maybe it's the pandemic, and they decided not to do it, but they didn't do one again this year, and I'm like, I think they've just decided they're not doing them.
hmm.
Um, their big thing right now are, for the historic sets are these team history sets. I mean, they'll be like, Hanshin Tigers history 1935 to
Oh
2021.
yeah.
They are beautiful looking sets, but they're again, this is a complaint I have that other people might not have, but it's like if I want to get a set of the history of like the Hanshin Tigers, I want like cards of the guys who played for them in the 30s and 40s and 50s and everything. And BBM's like, well, what you really want here is cards of guys who are alive so that we can sell you autograph cards too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, they've done, I think they've done 6 of them over the last 2 years now. The Carp, the Giants, the Tigers, the Dragons, the Buffaloes, and the Marines. And I think there's probably out of, 300 something guys in those 6 sets, there's probably 3 guys who weren't alive when the sets came out. And it's like, okay, well, I want more cards of Tetsuharu Kawakami and EJ Sawamura and other guys who aren't alive, but you're not gonna make those.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've actually had articles, or I know of one article done on you in Japan.
Jason Koskari wrote an article about me for the Japan Times a couple years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've actually been approached a couple times by Japanese TV shows about doing a set and doing a thing, and I was just like, I just don't feel comfortable doing this.
No.
But I met Jason once at least at the WBC in 2017. and I talked with him some on Twitter, so I felt a little more comfortable doing it. Um, I just didn't feel comfortable doing it with people that I didn't speak the language with.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've done a little bit of an interview with Kevin Glue for an article about Japanese cards, and can't remember the name of the magazine now, but it was talking about Japanese cards and specifically a lot of pre-Otani stuff that came out like in 2017, I think it was. But I mean, like Jason, we actually did the phone call over Skype, so it was like a real interview. And with Kevin Liu, it was more of or an email exchange.
Gotcha. So, does it like blow your mind that people know about you in Japan and you're collecting?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, it's odd to me. There's been a couple weird things for me along the lines of that. Like when I was in Nagoya, I met up with Sean McGinty, who writes the Getting Back to Baseball Cards in Japan blog. And so we met up and went to a couple stores, and we went to Bits, which is a fantastic store. And then we went to Mint Ponyland, which is an odd store. But he went back to Bits, a month or so later, and the guy's like, "Hey, where's your friend?" and I'm like, "God, you remembered me?" So it's like, he went back to the States. The other one that was bizarre was there's a store in Tokyo called G Freak that they're a very odd store, to be honest. The first time I went there with Ryan in 2013, and I didn't like the store. They have a ton of stuff, but there's absolutely no organization to it. And I was kind of in a mood that afternoon that we were there because the weather kind of gone from really, pretty nice to really cold, and just wasn't feeling. And it was a Sunday, and it was crowded. Everything around us was crowded, and it was a pain in the ass. And I was kind of in a bad mood when I was there, so I just didn't get a nice, fun feeling out of the store. Although you appreciate it, the guy had a Ray Lewis jersey in his window. So when I went in 2019, and I was like, I gotta get by G Freak, but I like put it off. And so literally it was the last full day I was in Japan. I went to G Freak at like 7:00 on a Sunday night, And the guy was great. He was so nice, and it was just fun. And I was like looking through the cards, and I'm like, "Oh, this is great." I mean, yeah, they're still disorganized as all hell, and I'm not gonna. This is not the place to go if there's something specific I'm looking for, but there's a big shoebox basically full of cards of the Tigers. So let me see if there's anything. Oh, hey, this is kind of cool, and I got talking with the guy. He showed me when he found out I was from Maryland. He had an autographed Cal Ripken jersey that he wanted to show me and everything. And I told him about how he used to have the Ray Lewis thing there and everything. But what was funny is I did my blog post about the store, and I always tweet out every time I do a blog post. And my friend Hiro, that I used to get cards from, knows the guy. So Hiro like retweeted my tweet saying, "Hey, check this out." And they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah, because I'd gone to the Fighters minor league game that afternoon. And then basically went from there, from the minor league game, I went to Quad Sports, and then from Quad Sports, I went to G Freak. So I'm in the store, and they're watching the replay of the Fighters farm team game on TV in the store. And I go, "Well, I was at the game," and like, because I don't speak any Japanese, I had a hard time expressing to it until I opened up my wallet and handed them the ticket stub, and they're like, "You were out there? That's a ways away. That's a long way out of town." It's like, it's not that bad. But yeah, it was just so funny that it's like, okay, well, it turns out that I know the guy, somebody who knows this guy, and he ended up leaving a comment on the blog post, and I was just worried that I'd done something in the post to offend him. I was like, oh, I
Oh.
really like the score.
So who's your NPB team? Do you have one?
It's the Dragons and the Lions are my two teams. The Dragons are hard to like right now.
Yeah.
But so I mean, so I think I like the Dragons more than the Lions, but I can tell you a lot more about the Lions than I can about the Dragons. I mean, part of it's the Pacific, having Pacific League TV that I can watch the Lions. So, I mean, my favorite player right now in Japan is Takaya Nakamura of the Lions.
He's right.
Hmm?
He's kind of a husky boy.
He is a husky boy. Yes,
Yeah.
as I say, his nickname is Okawari-kun. One more helping. It seems to be a thing though with the Lions because Hatake Yamakura. I may have just screwed up that name. The first baseman is also built like Nakamura, and then their number one draft pick from the 2020 draft is not a small person either. So, but it seems to work for him.
Yeah. Is there any reason you picked those two teams or?
So when I first got into Japanese baseball, I didn't really have a favorite team. I mean, years ago I thought I was a Yomiuri Giants fan, and then I learned more about the Yomiuri Giants and was like, nah, I'm not a fan. So it's kind of looking around, but I picked up the Dragons when Ochiai became their manager, Hiramatsu Ochiai, because Ochiai is just an interesting guy. And the Lions, I think I kind of picked because when I was getting a lot of cards from the 90s, I would see like Koji Akiyama and Kimiyasu Kudo and Kazuhiro Kiyahara all the time. I'd get all these cards and I'd start learning like basically what a powerhouse the Lions had been in the 80s and into the 90s, and I just kind of adopted them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no team I really don't like in Japan, with the exception of Yomiuri. But the Dragons and Lions are definitely my favorites. I like the Eagles and the Carp too. But
Gotcha. Yeah, I still haven't picked a team. I don't. I'm one of those guys that I cheer for the teams that have a foreigner that I like Adam Jones being an Orioles fan, so him being Buffaloes. Well, it kind of sucks. It makes me sound like a bandwagon because if I had to pick two, it'd be either the Buffaloes or the Swallows because I really like.
Convenient.
Yeah, but here's why I like the Swallows. The neon green uniforms. There's not enough neon green uniforms. And so I like the uniforms. And I like the Buffalo's pinstripe uniforms. I think a lot of people hate those, but I kind of dig it. It's like Bull Durham with pinstripes.
Compared to some of the other alternate uniforms the Buffaloes have had over the years, like the plaid ones a couple years back, I mean, the black pinstripe ones are okay.
And then didn't the Buffaloes have like a Canadian tuxedo? It was all denim, or was that?
No,
was that the Carp?
That was the Carp.
Yeah. So that was a cool year. I like those uniforms. Those were pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was a crazy. Yeah, I mean, well, the big reason I like the Swallows is Jingu Stadium is just a great place to go to a ball game. So,
have you been to all 12? Well, I can't really say all 12 stadiums, though, can I? Because I know some of the teams they play in different. They have a couple different home stadiums, right?
Well, I mean, there's 12 or 13 primary stadiums. So, because the Buffaloes will play a couple series in Kobe every year at the ballpark that when they were the Blue Wave, they would play in. But yeah, I mean, but most teams, will play a handful of games in other ballparks, but it's not. It's not their regular ballpark. I mean, they're not considered their home because some teams will play like there's some ballparks that multiple teams will end up playing in and things like that. But I have been to of the 13 primary ballparks, I've been to 11 of them. I've not been to Sapporo, the Sapporo Dome, the Fighters Ballpark, and I've not been to the ballpark in Kobe. But I've been to the others. I think my favorite probably is the ballpark in Sendai, because it's old. It was built like in 1950, but they've been like makeshift adding stuff to it, and I just fell in love with it. It was just a really cool park. I like Jingu a lot. That's the second oldest. I like Koshien. That's the oldest. But I like the the older parks. The Hiroshima Ballpark is really nice. That's the newest ballpark. Nagoya Dome, Osaka Dome, they're just kind of big, empty. They're big cavernous domes.
There's really not much you can do with the dome stadium to make it cool. But I kind of like the one here in Arizona, Chase Field. That one's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, I have not been to a dome stadium in the U.S.
Oh, really?
I've been to the Mariners ballpark, but the roof was open.
Oh, Safeco.
Yeah.
Or team.
It's something else now, and I haven't gotten a check from them, so I don't see why I should use the corporate name. Why should I do advertising for them for free? The Tokyo Dome, I've not been in the Tokyo Dome for a Giants game. I've only been for the WBC, and it's I liked it more than I thought I was going to. They have like the open concourse thing, so you can walk around getting your food or whatever, and you can still see the field in a lot of cases.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, that's nice. Because a lot of stadiums, they have TVs all over the concourse, so you got to watch it like that. And
I would say that's the biggest thing that like Camden Yards is missing, is having an open concourse.
Yeah, I know they've talked about doing some upgrades and like the leases coming up with the like the Stadium Authority or something that they're talking about.
A huge change to be able to make it so that they'd have to take out a ton of seats.
Yeah, and it's one of the smaller ballparks as it is. I think it only holds like 42,000. But they really only need that for opening day, and the rest of the season, there's plenty of seats to.
The last 25 years have not been kind to the Orioles.
Nah, 2025 is going to be our year. It's like the 76ers. You got to trust the process. Mike Elias, we act for the first time that I can remember that I've actually paid attention to the minor leagues. I want to say this is probably the first time that they've had a top 5 farm system in my lifetime that I know of. Because even with when Wieters and Mattis and Britton and Gosman were coming up, I don't even think it was still a top 10 farm system then.
So. I couldn't tell you. It's painful because I remember, when I was a kid, the Orioles were, and I got into baseball in the 70s. The Orioles were just the class. It's like even if they didn't win, Weaver and Palmer and
420 game winners. Yeah, the 70s is when they had the 420 game winners in a season. So which is which will never happen again.
Has there even been a 20 game winner in a couple of years? With the the guys cutting back on the number of starts and everything.
I think maybe Urias got close to 20 games this year, but even he didn't even win the Cy Young. So it was Corbin Burns, and I think he won like 12. But a lot of people will probably be like, "Oh well, wins are a stupid stat anyway, so who gives a shit anymore?"
To be honest, I agree with that. Because there's so many things out of a pitcher's control about whether or not he's going to get the win or not. And you got to, if you're the starter, you got to go 5. And it's like, well, you may not go 5.
Yeah, because even the shit. How do I want to word it? But a quality start. A lot of people are like, oh, well, he had a quality start. But if you average a quality start throughout the season, I still think that puts your ERA a tad under 5. So
Wow.
is that really a quality
Yeah,
start?
that's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but the thing is, I mean, there's so many things out of your control. It's like you can pitch great for 7 innings, and then your bullpen blows the game, and it's like, well, you pitched well enough to win, but you didn't get the win. So
Yeah, because I mean, they're bringing a guy out of the bullpen that really should only be pitching to one batter, but he can't anymore. And
there's
then
that.
if you have a shift and the guy doesn't know how to pitch to the shift, then that can screw you up as well. So, but who knows? Manfred's going to change that and make all the infielders have their feet on the grass, or no, 1 foot on the dirt. And yeah,
They want to not have the team shift. They got to have guys start hitting the other way and bunting down the third base line and saying, "Screw it," because this is stupid. I mean,
yeah.
I don't like the shifts, but I like the solutions to the shift even less.
Yeah, no. And the crazy thing is, there was a thing that I seen on Twitter the other day. Rod Carew is very active on Twitter now, which is awesome. And there was a stat that he batted over 700 when he was bunting.
I saw that.
Yeah. And you could probably bat higher than 700 if you bunted against the shift, because usually that third baseman shifts over towards shortstop. So I don't know. I think the pitchers are getting better. They're getting bigger, stronger, faster, better. They're doing their research, analytics. Why can't hitters do that? Why can't they try to better themselves? Launch angle, all that's cool. Chicks dig the long ball, but playing some small ball wins you game. So lay down a bunt, and
But
I don't know.
Are you getting paid for laying down the bunts?
I think the way agents spin things in the arbitration cases, I definitely think it would help you out, because even though, like, say your power numbers drop, your doubles and your home runs, but your on base percentage goes up, teams are going to want to pay you for somebody that gets on base, I would think. So I honestly think an agent could make a case that, hey, he may be hitting 30 home runs instead of 40, but look at his OPS. It is through the roof. So, and plus you got to get on base to win the games anyway, right? To score runs.
Well, yeah,
yeah.
But that's the biggest thing I see is it's just a question of guys aren't going to want to I think it'd be a systematic thing, because the guys are starting this in high school and college. Like, I'm going to hit for power and everything, because that's where I'm going to get scouted and everything else. So
yeah. And plus, it makes us sound like old curmudgeons. Back in my day, you would lay down in front to help your team.
I was thinking that as I was saying it, it's like, great, I'm becoming the old man that I never wanted to be. It's like, back, because I used to say this in the 80s. It's like, I tell friends, it's like if I ever talk about like how much Jose Canseco loved the game, played for the love of the game, just shoot me.
Yeah, we sent the two old dudes up in the balcony on the Muppets, just complaining, But I mean, yeah, but
it's like, I won't say Major League Baseball was better in my day or anything. I'm not saying that. It's like Major League Baseball is still fun. I mean, there's crap going on that's annoying, but there was crap going on in the 80s that was annoying, I just I don't pay as much attention to it anymore, just because I enjoy the Japanese stuff more. the fan experience with the cheering sections, the Oenden and all that. I mean, that's just fun.
Yeah, yeah. I have danced more at Korean baseball games than I have in my entire life. If you add up all the times I danced in my entire life, that would be like the first week of the KBO. Like I surpassed it, and it was I knew all the dances. Me and my thunder sticks, just give me enough room so I can dance, and yeah, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I sat in cheering sections twice. So I did it once in Hiroshima and once at Chiba. And Chiba was actually a lot more fun because Dan was with me at that, and Steve Novosel, love Marines on Twitter. I corresponded with him a little bit, so we kind of knew who each other were. But I sent him a message saying, "Hey, can I invite myself to a ball game with you? Because I'd like to experience sitting in the cheering section." And he was, nice enough to do it. I sat with him and a friend of his and Dan, and they basically explained what we were doing. But I mean, we didn't learn any songs or anything, but I mean, it was just fun being with the crowd doing it.
Yeah. So before you get too far into the story, were you?
No, that's the story.
Oh, okay. All right. I was going to ask, were you intimidated at all? Because I would intentionally not set in the cheering section. It was like I wanted to, but I was terrified of embarrassing myself and looking like a fool. So
Well,
I waited a couple months before I ventured into the cheering section. And then after that, I wish I did it all the time.
I wasn't intimidated too much at Chiba just because it's like, okay, I'm here with other people, and Steve and Jerome know what the hell they're doing, and so it was like that. It was funny in Hiroshima. The reason I sat in the cheering section was I got all my tickets for the ball games through Japan Ball.
Okay.
And Japan Ball tickets. And Michael Westbay actually is the one who got me all my tickets.
And they Japan Ball, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they do like almost like bus type things where they'll do tours to Japan?
They do tours, but they also offer a service where they will buy you tickets for baseball games.
Nice.
So I was like, there's no way I'm gonna figure it out, go through all this. And I think it was like $65 for all, was the service fee for like the 9 tickets he got for me. And I was like, that is just, that's nothing. I mean, that's $7 service charge per ticket. I mean, and he does all the work for me. I love this. So, and I actually used them the first time in 2013 because I went to a couple exhibition games. So same thing is like, I was able to use their service, and they got me the tickets. And excuse me, the tickets were at my hotel the first night that I got into town, so it was great. But the thing is with the carp sell out their ballpark quickly, and they put the tickets for all the games on sale like in February or something like that. So Michael has found his best luck in getting carp tickets is to get them in the visiting team's cheering section. So I think he only got a handful of people tickets for the carp, but I was one of the people he was able to get. So I ended up sitting in the Tigers cheering section for this carp Tigers game.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't there, I don't know if they're written or unwritten rules about if you're in a cheering section, what you can and cannot wear? Because I'm pretty sure there was a story about Dan and wearing a jersey that I guess was a no.
I mean, it was kind of a bullshit thing for that. What happened to him is that he had a Samson Lions Lee Sung Up jersey.
Totally different league. Totally different league.
Totally different league. Not the same Lions. He's got the jersey of a guy who spent a couple of years playing for the Marines. But yeah, they stopped and they said you can't wear a Lions jersey in here, and so he had to take it off. And Steve had actually been kind enough to give us both Marines jerseys. In fact, I actually still have the one. It didn't fit me because I'm not a small person anymore. But I kept it. Dan, I think, actually gave his back, but I'm hoping Steve meant for me to keep it. But
well, you got
anyway, but yeah, so he had to change it. But yeah, and actually, Michael Westbay had told me the rules. And it was like, because I much prefer the Carp to the Tigers, but not only could I not wear any Carp stuff to the game and sit there, I couldn't root for the Carp while sitting in the Tigers cheering section.
So they're like, this guy class, getting the hell out of here.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Wow. So it was funny because I was sitting along, I would, because we'd all stand up while the Tigers were batting. So I'd stand up with the crowd and everything, and I'd hum along as much as I could follow what was going on. And a couple of times the Tigers scored runs, I high-fived the people around me and everything. But yeah, the whole time in my head, I'm like, man, I hope the Carp win this game. And they did. I mean, Chris Johnson pitched a pretty good game, and a couple guys hit home runs.
Right? Red Sox prospect, Chris Johnson.
Was he?
Yeah, I want to say he played for those Wilmington Blue Rocks when they were the Red Sox.
I know
he might have some Blue Rocks cards. Because I always remember him because he spelled his name with the K.
Yeah. I have to go look. I know that Luis Mendoza, who was with the Fighters a couple of years ago, and then I think finished his career in Japan with the Tigers. He had been with the Blue Rocks when they were a Red Sox farm team, but I don't remember Chris Johnson being there. But I don't pay enough attention. So, I mean, everybody tells me, it's like, oh, you're Tyler Austin. He's former Yankee. I'm like, really? I just know him as a base star. Brandon Laird, former Yankee. I just know him with the Fighters and the Marines.
Yeah, he's been in Japan long enough. I think he could be able to get citizenship, right? He's been over there.
I think he's got a couple more years to go. I think right now the only foreigner in Japan who doesn't count against the foreign limit is Vladimir Valentin.
Oh, yeah. Blast from the past.
But yeah, he's been there 10 or 11 years now. I can't remember if it was 2010 or 2011 he started there. So Randy Messenger, I think, had gotten to that level, but he ended up retiring before he came back.
Gotcha. Back to the cheering stuff, though. Some of the KBO teams I know, they would, when they opened up the stadium to start letting fans in, they would kind of do like a dress rehearsal with all the fans in the cheering section where they'd go through the starting lineup, all the songs and the dances. Did they do anything like that in Japan?
I didn't see that, but that doesn't mean... The two times in 2019 that I sat in the cheering sections, I don't remember seeing anything like that at all. The exhibition games I went to in 2013, though, I went out to Karazawa to see the Lions play. They played against the Marines, and the Marines fan base is phenomenal, actually. And so they had a huge cheering section out at, I mean, it's like 2 hours from Chiba to get out there. And their cheering section kept doing stuff after the game. So I don't know if they were rehearsing or whatever they were doing, but they were still active after the game for a little bit. In Yokohama, which I went to the next day, their cheering section was outside the ballpark, lined up to get in, and I think they were doing some sort of rehearsal thing. But the big thing I remember from the game in Yokohama was they were playing the Dragons, and Motonobu Tanashige was the Dragons catcher at the time. and he had spent the first 12 years of his career with Yokohama. So when he came up, the Yokohama cheering section actually did a quick little cheer song for him, just to say, hey, we remember you were one of our guys.
And then they all got kicked
I just
out of
thought
the
that was kind of cool.
I say, and then they all got kicked out of the game because they were cheering for the wrong player.
I don't know if they do in the regular season, but for open side.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we have been on for an hour and 15 minutes. I know it's getting late there. I could probably talk to like time is totally flown by, but this has been so much fun and learning all kinds of stuff.
Has anybody been watching? I mean, you haven't put up any comments on
the chat's been pretty active, but it's hard to get to everyone because as I'm talking to you, you get a comment that comes up and everything. But it's been a blast, and we've actually had folks watching. Usually, it's just my kids that are making comments and everything. But
we've dad on.
No, they're I should have told them, but both of them are sick with COVID right now. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I'm honestly surprised that they haven't gotten it sooner, because my mom, she works in a hospital and she's dealing with COVID people all day. So but they said for them it's like the flu, but they haven't had that loss of taste or smell or anything. So
were they both vaxxed?
Yeah. My mom had to be, and then my dad, he was. They came out to Arizona. When was it? It was right when I retired from the military. So the end of July, they came out and they got vaxxed because Maryland was doing those weird things where if you traveled out of state and you came back, like you had to quarantine for 2 weeks at BWI or something, Wow.
I didn't realize that we were doing that. I go over the state line all the time to Delaware. But
Yeah. And where they live, I mean, they're really close to Pennsylvania and West Virginia. But it hasn't been too bad, and it's kind of good that they both got it at the same time so they can kind of quarantine together and everything. But they're doing all right. So I mean, other than COVID, I don't know. I don't know if it's Delta or Omicron, or maybe they got a new one that hasn't been named yet. But yeah, they're vaxxed and everything. But that's probably that's probably why they're not in the hospital, is because they were vaxxed and boosted and everything. So But so thank you again for coming on and spending your Sunday evening, and everybody in the chat. Is there anything that you want to plug or promote?
Just read my blog.
So MPB Card Guy, at MPB Card Guy on Twitter. You're pretty active on there. You couple times a week you're tweeting updates, and especially this time of the year too, you're pretty active with all the retirement posts.
I gotta get back to those. Actually, I've only done like 3 in a couple months, but this as I said, I just moved my office from the basement up here, and that just killed a whole lot of time that I was going to do some blogging. So.
Gotcha. And then your blog, Japanese Baseball Card, or is it Baseball Cards?
JapaneseBaseballCards.blogspot.com. But if you find me on Twitter, you can find the link to it, or just Google Japanese Baseball Cards, because I come up pretty quick.
Yeah, and anybody that's watching, go to the blog and look on the right-hand side for the cards that you still need for your sets. So
if anybody's there's a WBC, Tops Now WBC, DD, however you pronounce his last name. It's the only Tops Now WBC card I need, and I cannot find it anywhere. Except for the one guy who's selling it for $10,000 on eBay, and I'd really rather make my house payments.
Evil. Well, maybe this year, with the National being close to you, if you're going to find it anywhere, that might be the place.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, I'm planning on going and hoping to be able to meet up with some people like you and other people.
Yeah.
Because it's about a 2-hour drive from here.
Yeah,
So,
Atlantic City. Yeah, it'll be a good time. I'm definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, so thank you very much, Dave, for coming on.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And I will see everyone next weekend. Bye, everybody. And there's a weird little in broadcast thing